guys, it's Alexa from Alexa Loves Books, and today I'm very excited to be bringing you a video that is all about a book that I read recently and absolutely loved. And that book is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Fredrik Backman. And this book was sent to me for free in exchange for an honest review, and that is because I am part of the BookTube tour for it, and this was organized by Grace over at Loving Them Books. And you guys actually have a chance to enter a giveaway to win a copy of this book. I'll leave that information down below, as well as the author's social media links, links about this book, links about BookTube tours. All of that will be down in the description box, so check that out as well. Anyway, today I'm going to be sharing some brief thoughts on this book, which I absolutely loved. And I know I just said that, but I absolutely adored it. I had high expectations going in because one of my best friends, Hannah from So Obsessed With, absolutely loved this book. And it was because of her recommendation that it piqued my interest in the first place. And now that I've read it, I can definitely say that she was spot on in telling me that I would love it, and I'm so excited to have read it. Before I get started on that, let me tell you a little bit about what this book is about. It is about a little girl named Elsa who is very close to her grandmother and has sort of a complicated family situation otherwise. And her grandmother dies early on in the book, not a spoiler, and she leaves behind a series of letters that Elsa is tasked to deliver in order to let her grandmother apologize to a number of people. That's basically the premise of the entire story. It sounds so deceptively simple, but really there's so much more to it than that, and that's because Elsa's grandmother has quite the imagination and quite the personality, and she infuses this simple task with the greatest details to make it become one of Elsa's greatest adventures. So, what did I think of this book? Well, I particularly loved this book for the characters and the structure. I absolutely adored Elsa. She's a very precocious 7, almost 8-year-old. She's got a very specific way of seeing the world, and she's quite intelligent for her age, and that makes her a little bit different from all of her classmates, which means she doesn't necessarily have any friends of her own age, and she doesn't necessarily get along very well with her schoolmates. And the thing is, I could totally relate to that. There was a time in my life where I felt very different from everyone around me, and just seeing that mirrored in Elsa's situation, it was a very personal connection for me. I loved seeing Elsa's interactions with all the secondary characters, from her precocious, equally precocious and slightly insane grandmother, and her sort of orderly and well put together mother, her mother's partner, I guess, George, who is really friendly and does go out of his way to make Elsa feel welcome, to Elsa's dad, who's kind of this tentative spirit, and then there are their neighbors, Leonard and Maud, who are just the friendliest, nicest old couple. There's a neighbor that she only knows as the monster because he's intimidating and large and barely says anything at all and always seems angry. There's Britt Marie, married to Kent, who's kind of like a nagging little lady who tries to get in everybody's business, and Kent is kind of a very forceful person who kind of steamrolls over Britt Marie. And there's also the mother and the kid with the syndrome, and what am I forgetting? I feel like and Alf, who drives a taxi, who also lives in their building. And you know, the thing about this book is, what really makes it for me are these characters, because they're so well fleshed out that they become such real people in my mind. And that made me so interested in reading more of the story and seeing Elsa's encounters with them. I have always maintained that having a personal connection to the characters in the book I read is very important for me in terms of how much I enjoy a book. And with this one, I loved Elsa, I loved the other characters, it was also great. I also really enjoyed the narrative structure of the story. I think it was very inventive of Fredrik Backman to kind of weave together an imaginary land that Granny had supposedly come up with. Well, yeah, Granny came up with it, obviously. And this real world that Elsa is now forced to live in without her grandmother. I thought that was so clever, and I feel like it was also really cool to see this book play out through through Elsa's perspective, because the entire story does center around her. It's so interesting because a lot of the things that happen in this story are very adult things, like they're very adult conflicts, and adult readers like myself would probably notice them very easily, but it was very interesting to see them through the perspective of this little girl who is smart for her age but doesn't necessarily know enough of the world to be able to really identify this right away. So yeah, I obviously love the plot as well, and I think that for something that was so simple, it actually plays out in a way that makes it turn out to be more elaborate than it actually seems just based on my summary. It's really hard for me to talk about just because I loved it so much. Basically, what it comes down to is I absolutely love this book. I thought it was such a creative take on a story that is deceptively simple, like I said, and it's just so much more than I ever imagined it could be, and for that alone, I loved it. But I also love the fact that it made my heart swell 10 times bigger with so much affection for these characters and their story, particularly for Elsa, who is a brave and strong and clever and extraordinary little girl, and it's just an incredible book, and I hope you guys check it out. So thank you once again to Grace for having me on this booktube tour. It was an honor to be on it, and I hope you guys enjoyed my review. Feel free to check out all the links I'm including down below, and if you want to chat more about it, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one if you've read it or if you plan to read it in the comments. I would also love to chat with you guys on all the other platforms, so I'm going to leave those links down below as well. And yes, I will be seeing you guys soon for another review, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Alright, till next time guys, bye!